Shauna Shipman has had a plethora of trauma to deal with after the plane crash in the wild. In regards to her life before that, she was very much the one responsible for most of the problems she has ever had. Well, honestly, her life was more of a ticking time bomb that managed to explode after the plane crash. For this video, I want to take a look at one scene for Shauna that really gives clues to the audience to her mental state and her eventual deterioration. Granted, I still hold to the idea that the writers weren't entirely sure where they were taking the story, but there are enough scenes that help me digest the decisions regarding the Antler Queen a bit better. But before I continue, I would just like to say that if you like these kinds of videos, then please subscribe. I like to take a look at different TV shows or movies on the channel, so if that's something that you're interested in, join along. So let's take a look at Season 2, Episode 2. Actually, let's give a quick little backstory of where Shauna is mentally. At this point in the story, she has already lost her best friend, Jackie, after a fight that led to Jackie sleeping outside and ultimately freezing to death. Granted, this was something that was built up after a while, but this is the result of it. Having experienced this trauma, Shauna is having hallucinations of Jackie and has already partaken in cannibalism in regards to Jackie's ear in the previous episode, which is the first instance of any of the Yellow Jackets eating human flesh. Okay, so that was my quick little backstory because I'm running on the idea that anyone watching this video has most likely seen the show, but it is an important refresher. And it's more important about how Shauna interacts with her environment and Jackie in this case, and what we can gather from that. So we know that Shauna is traumatized and scared about everything happening in the wilderness, and realistically, who wouldn't be? But why would I choose this one scene to really emphasize who Shauna is and who she ultimately became? Well, it's simple really. In this scene, there are multiple different sides of Shauna that are shown within a 5-minute time period. The fear, friendliness, anger, insecurity, hunger, literally, the whole 9 yards really. The most important aspect to consider in this scene is Shauna's mental state. Clearly, she is not doing well, considering she's having hallucinations of her dead best friend, but their conversation doesn't start off as a conversation at all, really, because Shauna is set on ignoring this figment of Jackie that lives in her mind, which actually might be a good sign for her if I'm being honest, but Jackie manages to annoy her enough to break through and starts pointing out the fact that the Yellow Jackets are running out of food. It is winter and things are not looking up. Shauna tries to keep some hope within herself by exclaiming that they will find food, and Jackie brings up her missing ear, which is not exactly the most pleasant topic of conversation considering Shauna just ate it in the previous episode. So she lies about it, and Jackie is quick to call her out and even go as far as to make fun of the whole situation. Shauna is not exactly too ecstatic with the turn of conversation, and Jackie is seemingly getting a bit more aggressive throughout. So she threatens to leave, but is pulled back into the conversation when Jackie says sorry and asks her to braid her hair. Honestly, watching them fall back into what seems to be their old habits and reminiscing about events that happened at school is melancholic when you consider the actual current state that they are both in. But when Jackie asks Shauna to do her makeup, things take a bit of a turn. When Jackie uses the word necrotic, Shauna scoffs a little at the word, saying,
"Nice SAT word."
But then Jackie turns the conversation into more of an aggressive one, saying that Shauna only thought she was a smart one and that the only reason she had any semblance of a life was because of her, and the only reason she slept with Jeff is so she can imagine what it would have been like to be Jackie. Just really laying into all of her insecurities. Shauna is not really having it at this point and takes an aggressive turn too. But Jackie tells her to be honest with herself about her hunger. She pulls a knife out and starts taking off a piece of her arm. Shauna is scared of the ongoing situation and starts to panic a little bit, and she takes the knife while Jackie starts laughing about everything, and Jackie delivers the most telling line of all.
"You're the one holding the knife."
The most important thing to remember about this entire conversation is that Jackie is not actually there because she's, well, you know. Which makes the scene even more intriguing when you consider that this is basically Shauna just talking to herself. She's the one that knows everything about herself, so her fears are brought up. Things like not having enough food, the baby not being able to be nourished throughout her pregnancy to survive. Really just everything she could possibly be scared of or insecure about is being brought up in these conversations. Again, it gives us the most insight into her characters because it's literally just her talking to herself. And who better to tell us how Shauna is doing than Shauna herself? Obviously, there are things that she would rather not admit, like the desire to eat flesh in this case, but they are there for the audience to see. Things like how her anger and insecurities start to take over and her actions start to reflect that, or how she was the first person to commit cannibalism and how it's seemingly something she is starting to crave. Granted, there could be a much more metaphorical meaning to the cannibalism, but in this case, I'm going to take it pretty straight on. I wanted to only take a look at this scene in particular, but if we fast forward in the episode, she is the person who essentially tells everyone that they are meant to eat Jackie. Granted, all the yellow jackets seemed pretty entranced at this point, but still. Now, I'm not saying the shed scene is what gave away to Shauna being the antler queen, but I do think it's very telling of her character and where she was headed. She spent a lot of the second season in a depressive state, and honestly, it tracks. She lost her best friend, she's pregnant in the wilderness, and she's feeling hopeless overall. But when we head into the third season, there's an anger there that we've only seen instances of before. For example, the shed scene that I've been talking about in this whole video, but there are also other very clear instances too. Another example would be when she beats up Lottie after she loses the baby. So by the third season, it's not something that's out of place for her. But for me, the shed scene is the most telling of them, since it brings up all of Shauna's insecurities and the only person that could make her feel them so strongly. Jackie did say it best.
You're the one holding the knife.